Have you ever wondered what truly differentiates the titans of industry, the geniuses of innovation, and the leaders who changed the world? Napoleon Hill spent 20 years of his life obsessed with this question, interviewing over 500 of the most successful people of his time, such as Henry Ford and Thomas Edison. And the answer he found wasn't about luck, innate talent, or inheritance. It was a principle as powerful as it was subtle, a concept he called mastermind. But what Hill discovered through observation, modern psychology can now explain with scientific precision. The idea that two or more minds, working in perfect harmony, can generate a third, invisible, and intangible mind, more powerful than the individual ones, is not mysticism. It's a reflection of a fundamental principle of human cognition, collective intelligence. Research from MIT, for example, has demonstrated that groups can exhibit an intelligence that transcends the capacity of their individual members. This is based on the concept of social facilitation, where the mere presence of others can enhance our performance. Hill didn't invent a magic formula. He decoded a pattern of human behavior that science is only now beginning to map. He realized that monumental success is rarely a solitary journey. Rather, it is the result of a carefully orchestrated mental synergy, and understanding the psychological basis behind it is the first step to unlocking that power in your own life. This pattern of mental synergy isn't just an academic theory, it's observable behavior at the highest levels of success throughout history. Look at Apple. Steve Jobs was a visionary, but it was his alliance with the technical and brilliant mind of Steve Wozniak that transformed the vision into reality. Think of Pixar, where the leadership of Ed Catmull and John Lasseter created a brain trust, a group of directors who criticized each other with brutal, yet constructive, honesty, elevating each film to a level of excellence. This is the mastermind in action. Scientific analysis of this phenomenon reveals some crucial mechanisms. First, cognitive diversity. When you bring together people with different experiences, skills, and mental models, you create a system immune to groupthink. Where you see an obstacle, someone else sees an opportunity. Where you have a blind spot, someone in your group has 20/20th's vision. Second, emotional and motivational contagion. Motivation is, literally, contagious. A Harvard University study found that our emotions and behaviors can spread by up to 3 degrees of separation in our social networks. Being surrounded by ambitious, disciplined, and optimistic people calibrates your own mind to operate at the same frequency. So, if science confirms and history demonstrates the power of a mastermind, why do so many of us insist on climbing the mountain of success alone? The answer often lies in the lack of a clear map. We believe it's something complex or reserved for the elite, but the truth is that the process begins with a single step, a foundation that Napoleon Hill called a defined primary purpose. The first and most crucial step in building your mastermind is having absolute clarity about what you want to achieve. Napoleon Hill called this a defined primary purpose, but in modern psychology, this aligns perfectly with Edwin Locke and Gary Latham's goal-setting theory. Decades of research have proven that specific and challenging goals lead to superior performance, compared to vague or easy goals. Your purpose cannot be to be more successful or to get rich. It needs to be crystal clear. Launch a meditation app that reaches 100,000 users in the first year. Build a sustainable clothing brand with a revenue of 500,000 reals in 24 months. Become a senior developer at a cutting-edge technology company in 3 years. The scientific analysis behind this is fascinating. When you set a clear goal, you activate a part of your brain called the reticular activating system (RAS). The RAS relational sharing system acts as a filter for your perception, causing you to notice information and opportunities relevant to your goal that previously went unnoticed. Suddenly, you start seeing articles, meeting people, and having ideas aligned with your mission. This defined purpose is the sun around which your mastermind group will orbit. It attracts the right people and repels the wrong ones. It provides the fundamental criterion for member selection and serves as the compass that guides all group discussions. Without it, your mastermind group becomes just a social club, without direction or power. With a clear purpose, you are no longer just looking for intelligent friends. You are looking for strategic allies for a specific mission. But how, exactly, do you identify and attract these allies? With its purpose defined, the second step is the careful selection of members. This is not a popularity contest. It's a strategic assembly of a mentally elite team. The most effective strategy, supported by decades of research in organizational psychology, is not to seek clones of yourself, but rather to find a balance between shared values and diverse perspectives. Think of Meredith Belbin's concept of team roles. A high-performing team isn't just composed of visionaries. It needs the implementer who transforms ideas into actions, the monitor evaluator who critically analyzes options, and the coordinator who organizes the group. Your mastermind needs this functional diversity. Look for people whose strengths compensate for your weaknesses. If you are a creative with great ideas, but terrible at execution, you need someone with a pragmatic and process-oriented profile. More important than any technical skill, however, is a factor that Google, in its famous Project Aristotle, identified as the main predictor of a team's success: psychological safety. Created by Harvard professor Amy Edmondson, psychological safety is the shared belief that the team is safe to take interpersonal risks. In a mastermind group, this means that members should feel comfortable disagreeing, admitting mistakes, asking silly questions, and presenting crazy ideas without fear of humiliation or retaliation. Therefore, when choosing your members, don't just evaluate their resumes, but their character. Look for humility, open-mindedness, integrity, and above all, a genuine desire to see others succeed. You've assembled the dream team. Now what? How do you transform this potential into concrete results? The third step is where the magic truly happens, establishing what Hill called harmony, but which we can translate into a more practical term: a structured and consistent engagement ritual. A mastermind group isn't a casual meeting. It's a discipline. The process needs to be realistic and sustainable. There's no point in planning daily meetings if everyone's schedule is chaotic. Consistency, whether weekly, bi-weekly, or monthly, is more important than frequency. The structure of the meeting is what transforms a conversation into a high-powered work session. A tried and tested approach, used by countless successful organizations, is the hot seat format. The meeting can be divided into 3 parts. First, a round of wins. Each member shares progress or an achievement since the last meeting. This starts the meeting with positive energy and reinforces momentum, releasing dopamine in everyone's brain. Second, the hot seat. One member at a time has the floor to present their biggest current challenge or opportunity. The rest of the group dedicates all their attention and brain power to asking questions, offering perspectives, and brainstorming solutions exclusively for that person. This avoids superficial discussions and focuses collective energy on a single point with depth. Finally, a round of commitments. At the end of the meeting, each member publicly declares what their main action or next step will be before the next meeting. This creates a powerful accountability mechanism based on Robert Cialdini's psychological principle of consistency and commitment. It is this structure that transforms a group of intelligent people into a cohesive collective mind. And it is here that Hill's concept of the third mind ceases to be a metaphor and becomes an observable cognitive phenomenon. When Napoleon Hill spoke of creating a third mind, a mental entity that emerges from the union of 2 or more minds in harmony, he was unknowingly describing a concept that scientists and systems theorists call emergence. Emergence is the phenomenon where a complex system exhibits properties and behaviors that its individual parts do not possess. Think of an ant colony. No single ant has the blueprint for the colony or understands the complex logistics of feeding and defense. Yet, through simple interactions based on chemical rules, the colony as a whole displays astonishing intelligence. The mastermind works on the same principle. The third mind is not a mystical force floating in the room. It is the emergent intelligence that arises from the structured interactions of your group. When a person in the hot seat presents a problem, they see it through their own filter of experiences and biases. When another member, with a completely different background, offers a perspective, they are not just adding their opinion. They are forcing the brains of everyone in the group to create new neural connections. A third person combines these 2 ideas, and a fourth refines them. The result is a solution that literally didn't exist in anyone's mind before that interaction. It's a creation of the network. This emergent intelligence is fueled by psychological safety, guided by defined purpose, and channeled by the structure of the meeting. That's why a successful mastermind group can solve in an hour a problem that an individual would take months to decipher. But this system, however powerful, is also delicate. There are psychological forces that can erode this harmony and destroy the collective mind before it even has a chance to form. Recognizing the psychological pitfalls that can sabotage a mastermind group is just as important as knowing how to build one. The first and most insidious is groupthink, a term coined by psychologist Irving Janis. It occurs when the desire for harmony and conformity within the group results in irrational or dysfunctional decision-making. Members avoid raising controversial or alternative issues so as not to disrupt the balance, which suppresses dissent and creativity. The cure for groupthink is to actively cultivate cognitive diversity and psychological safety, where the role of devil's advocate is not only tolerated but encouraged. The second pitfall is social loafing, the tendency for people to exert less effort on a task when working in a group than when working alone. If some members feel that others are carrying the burden, they may slack off. The antidote to this is the Mastermind's accountability structure. At the end of each meeting, public commitments create positive social pressure, making an action visible and uncomfortable. The most lethal threat, however, is ego. When competition replaces collaboration, the mastermind dies. If members start using meetings to show off, to belittle others, or to seek validation instead of mutual growth, psychological safety instantly evaporates, trust is destroyed, and the third mind disintegrates into a set of conflicting egos. If you have ever felt the power of a great team, or the frustration of a bad one, leave in the comments what you believe to be the most critical factor for a group's success. Your experiences enrich the collective wisdom of us all here. Understanding these threats is vital, but they raise an even deeper and more personal question. What if you feel you don't have enough to contribute? What if the fear of being the weakest link paralyzes you? The feeling of being a fraud, of not belonging to a group of talented people, has a name: imposter syndrome. It's a psychological pattern in which an individual doubts their abilities, talents, or achievements and has a persistent fear of being exposed as a fraud. It's incredibly common, especially among high-achieving individuals. If you're thinking about creating or joining a mastermind group, and this voice is whispering in your mind, know that this is the biggest barrier you need to overcome. The strategy to overcome this is a fundamental mindset shift, anchored in the principle of reciprocity, one of the pillars of social psychology. Instead of asking yourself, what can I gain from this group? Ask yourself, what can I give? Your value doesn't just lie in having all the answers. Often, the deepest value you can offer comes in other ways. You can be the best listener in the group, the person who makes everyone feel truly heard and understood. You can be the one who asks the most insightful questions, the ones that challenge the basic assumptions that experts ignore. You can be the source of encouragement, the person who reminds others of their potential when they themselves doubt it. You can offer your network, your time, or your unique skill, no matter how small it may seem. By focusing on contributing, you shift the focus away from your own insecurities and begin to create real value. And the principle of reciprocity ensures that when you genuinely give, the group will feel compelled to give back to you. Remember, a mastermind group isn't about a group of perfect geniuses. It's about a group of growing individuals committed to mutual upliftment. Overcoming personal barriers and assembling the group is a huge victory. But the journey is only beginning. A mastermind group isn't a project with an end date. It's a living organism that needs nurturing to survive and thrive in the long term. The realistic process of maintaining momentum requires awareness and adaptation. The initial excitement will inevitably wane. Life happens, priorities change, and what was once an energizing gathering can start to feel like an obligation. This is where the discipline and structure you've established become your anchor. The first strategy for sustainability is adaptability. The defined main purpose that united the group can be achieved. People can change careers, businesses can be sold, goals can be reached. The group must be flexible enough to redefine its collective mission or support the new individual goals of its members. Stagnation is the enemy of growth. Secondly, celebrate milestones, small and large. When a member achieves an important goal that has been discussed and supported by the group, that victory isn't just theirs, it's a victory for the mastermind group. Celebrating together reinforces the group's value and creates a positive feedback loop. Finally, brutal honesty is essential. Periodically, perhaps every 6 months or a year, the group should have a meta-analysis session. Is it working? Is everyone still receiving and contributing value? Is the structure still effective? It takes courage to admit that a format is no longer working or that the group's composition needs to change. It's better to amicably dissolve a mastermind group that has served its purpose than to let it slowly die of apathy. This journey of growth is powerful, but it's crucial to understand its limits and where the search for support should take a different direction. It is crucial to make an ethical and practical distinction. A mastermind group is an alliance for achieving goals. It is not a substitute for professional therapy. The structure we discussed is designed for professional, financial, and project growth. It can, and should, provide emotional support and encouragement among members, but it is not equipped to address clinical mental health issues such as depression, anxiety disorders, addictions, or deep trauma. Attempting to use a peer group, without clinical training, to treat these conditions is not only ineffective, but can be actively harmful, both to the individual needing help and to the group members who lack the tools to provide adequate support. A professional therapist or counselor offers a confidential space, evidence-based techniques, and ethical boundaries that a mastermind group cannot and should not attempt to replicate. If you are struggling with your mental health, the bravest and most productive step you can take is to seek professional help. A mastermind group can be a fantastic complement to that journey, supporting your career goals while you work on your personal well-being with a specialist. So, let's recap Napoleon Hill's secret, now decoded by modern psychology. First, establish a defined main purpose, using goal-setting theory to focus your mind and attract the right resources. Second, select your members not based on similarity, but on cognitive diversity and, above all, psychological safety. And third, create a consistent ritual of accountability and focused interaction, allowing emergent intelligence, the third mind, to arise and solve problems that no single mind could solve alone. The most influential people in history understood that greatness is not forged in isolation. Now you have the psychological map to build your own alliance, to create your own synergy. If this video gave you the clarity to take the first step, subscribe to the channel and share this with someone you'd like to have in your mastermind group. The journey begins now.